Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you guys the first ever chess game played. I think it was in the year 1475. So in the 1400s, the first ever chess game recorded. And to be honest, we're not even sure if they played with our rules, as they never castled and they also never did en passant. But they still do obey the normal chess rules as we have today. Also, every single move here is legal, basically. And the game actually started with the Scandinavian defense, which basically the idea is that black gets the queen out very early, but I don't think anyone knew that back then. Now this opening isn't that good for black, simply because you get the queen out early and you can attack it, and after the queen moves back, and in the game, queen to d8 is played. White has an idea of just playing d4, develop the knight, develop the bishop, and getting castle, just having a good position, putting it out on e5 with the bishop, and generally black has to spend a lot of moves defending, and it's gonna be, usually it's not gonna be that good for black. However, this is the first chess game, and I don't think any one of these people knew that. Anyways, in this position, white develops the bishop, black develops the knight, white develops his knight, and black develops the bishop to g4. And you can see by the evil bar here that this move is terrible, because you can see that this queen is kind of attacking the bishop. Obviously, if the knight moves away, the queen will be hanging. But here you have this knight to e5, which threatens checkmate, actually, so you can't take the queen because of mates. So instead of that, you have to play a move like e6, for example, but then you take the bishop, right? Then the bishop's hanging. So you're attacking the bishop, and you're threatening mates, so the only move is bishop to e6. If you go bishop to h5, trying to stop like this, and you can actually sacrifice your queen, and then you have mate, right? So this move, this is just really, really bad for black. This pawn structure is, very, very bad. And this bishop is also very bad. Generally speaking, this is just a very bad position for black. You can also play bishop takes f7 and then here, because then you can grab this bishop like this. So this is just a terrible move. But this was played in the 1400s. No one knew any tactics at all. He played h3, right, kicking out the bishop in here. The opponent decides to take this bishop, and white recaptured with the queen. And now this queen is, perhaps attacking this f7 pawn, and black thought, you know what, I'll just play pawn to e6. And now there's not much pressure here. And to be honest, it's not a bad move except for one thing. It hangs the b7 pawn, right? This is board vision, and black simply blundered a pawn. And surprisingly enough, he decided to defend like this. He actually understood what was going on, and he decided to defend his rook with the queen, the only move which does defend the rook with the queen. And white got in with knight to b5, threatening knight to c7, which would fork the king and queen. And surprisingly enough, the opponent plays a very reasonable move, and that is to move rook to d8. The only problem with this move is that the rook used to defend this pawn, so knight takes a7 was played in the game, which actually attacks this rook, and the rook is pretty much undefendable. You can move the rook here, though, which is probably a way better move, and here, queen f3 is the only move keeping up more of the initiative, and white still has a very good position, but black instead decided to go for this move, knight to b6, which gives away the rook, which doesn't make much sense. Knight to c8, and knight takes c8 was played, and we get into this position where white is simply winning because white has more material. And white here decided to play the move pawn to d4. And again, this is very interesting, actually. These people are putting pawns to the center. They are developing their pieces. And I don't think this is very intuitive for a lot of players, at least in my opinion. Now, obviously, you cannot take this pawn because the knight is hanging. So black decided to move this knight here and attack this queen. And the bishop, actually. So this is kind of a fork. But obviously, there's many ways to get out of this. You can move the queen back, defend the bishop. You can move the queen back this way. You can move the queen basically anywhere. You can even go for this check. So there's many ways to get out of this fork, but white decided to go for this move, bishop to b5, which checks the king, and obviously if take, you just take with the queen, and that's actually what happens. And here, funnily enough, the top engine move, I think, is to go king to e7. I mean, that move looks pretty stupid, kind of bone-clouding your king. But in the game, knight to d7 is played, which kind of prevents, obviously doesn't want to trade queens, because that would be completely losing, so he goes here, which I probably would play as well if I was playing as black. And here white plays another really nice move, and that is move pawn to d5, which after white takes, simply plays bishop to e3 and says, I'm going to bring my rook here, and I'm going to hunt you on this open file. Black developed the bishop, and white brought the rook to d1. And white is cooking here. I mean, white's playing very, very well here, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on this pawn. Probably going to take it as well, win back the quote-unquote sacrificed pawn, even though it's not really a... I mean, it was a sacrifice, but it didn't really matter to the position because white was already up so much material. Black decided here to go queen to f6, which, I mean, gets the queen out, but it does give away this pawn back. And here, well, black decided to go for a queen to g6, which looks pretty dangerous. You're attacking these two pawns at the same time. Now, since white's up a lot of material, you can play literally anything here and win. You can even go like a4 here and win because this pawn's here. You can even go like king e2 and you're winning. Like, there's very few legal moves here that lose. Obviously, like something like queen to here would lose because you hang your queen. But as long as you don't hang a piece in one move, it's really difficult for white to play a bad move here. And white here actually did play a really, really nice move. And I wanted to try to find it white to play and play a brilliant move. And white actually ended up winning the game very shortly afterwards. And white in this position played the move bishop to f4. And let's see if I can give this a double exclamation point. I don't think I can. There we go. Double exclamation points. The bishop is hanging. Right? Why don't you just take it? Well, the game, black decides to take it, but this move loses because of checkmate into simply this queen takes the knight, the king is forced to the side, and queen to d8 is simply checkmate. Now, this move according to Anderson is maybe a slight inaccuracy, but it doesn't matter, because, I mean, white's winning no matter what happens, really. So I really like this game. Simply because of one reason, not because the game was very nice, the game was really bad, a lot of mistakes, there were no strategical things to learn from this game, white just destroyed black, basically. I mean, from this moment on, basically. I mean, here, obviously, white could have won here and here and here and won way sooner, but, you know, after these moves, like, black got completely cooked, like look at this, knight to b5, attacking this, and knight to a7, and taking the rook. I mean, this is a perfect game for white, pretty much. And it would actually, I mean, if this was like guessing the ELO, I would probably say both players were around 1,200 maybe. Maybe black is like, 200, 300, whereas white is like way better. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the video. There's nothing else for me to say here, so yeah, you can just click off right now. So, bye.